I've built hundreds of card projects and never attempted anything like this. It's very windy. Yeah, look at that breeze. My name is Bryan Berg. I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I guess I'm a professional card stacker. I grew up on a farm in northwest Iowa. My grandfather was a bit of a card player, and so between card games, my grandmother would be, filling drinks, and my grandfather would be building some little house of cards, and so I saw that, and it obviously had quite an impact. So I would say I started around age 8, and the first time I captured a Guinness record, I was in high school. It was the world's tallest house of cards, and the record to beat was 12 feet 6 inches, and I built something 14 feet 6 inches tall. And then over the years, I built many, many more of them. Largest house of cards, 3,000 decks the first time, 4,000 decks the next time. And I think today the tallest one ever built is 26 feet tall, which is by no means a limit. It's just how high the ceiling was. My real background is architecture. I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. People think that's why I can stack cards, but it's not. Like, you learn to stack cards by stacking cards. I avoid talking to people about it that don't know, because try to explain to somebody that you're a card stacker. They're probably going to just change the subject because they're going to think you're nuts. One thing that's a continuity in all my work is it's always inside. It's always got to be a certain thing. It's always got to be done by a certain time, and it's got to be perfect. So one thing I've never done, but I've always kind of wanted to do, is try to build something really big outside, which is sort of an insane idea to begin with, for all kinds of reasons. There's the wind, there's the rain, there's skunks, and so I'm thinking in its own very cool way, it'll be the coolest thing I've ever made. So some of the techniques I'll be using when I build are most notably what I would call the grid. It starts out with this 4-card cell. Basically, you're putting all these cards together in a way that creates all these little boxes, and the cards kind of reinforce each other. This is the technique that I use when I'm teaching little kids to do this, because it's arguably the easiest, but it's also the most important, because every other technique is kind of based on this one. Another technique that I do a lot of is this little pillar, and it's the same technique as before, except the cards are vertical, and I'm just doing these first 4 cards like a little column with a hat. And it's kind of surprising, how many of these you can build one on top of another. This is why it's going to be a huge challenge to try to do this outside. So another technique that I use a lot is I put the cards vertical again, like I just did for that little column, and I build a column, but then I keep going and I build a wall. You'll notice I'm using several cards at a time here, especially with the wind we have going. Basically the first technique creates kind of like slabs. The second technique creates columns, and the third technique creates walls, which, if you think about it, constitutes an awful lot of the architecture that you see around you. And for that reason, if you can do these 3 things and put them together without them destroying each other, you can make a building. So what's kind of amazing is this. Just watch what this little house of cards is capable of. I could... The sky's the limit. To build something outside, I'm going to have a bit of an enclosure to protect what I'm doing, which is honestly probably harder work than stacking the cards. And then there's going to come a point where I'm done, and no matter what the weather's doing, I'm going to take that all down and just see what happens. If you're not into card stacking or you've never done it, you might think, oh, it's insanely difficult, it's impossible, it's got to be boring, it's got to be mindless. But actually, it's really fun for me, it's very relaxing for me. It's not uncommon for me to put my headphones in and just kind of really be jamming away while I'm working. When you do something with cards, it's not like you can snap them together and they'll just stay. You have to engineer your solution, and I always like that about it. I don't cut the cards, I don't bend the cards, I don't fold the cards, I don't glue the cards. So I like the fact that you've got these rectangles and you have to make whatever it is that's prescribed. using just those. Well, we got the tower. It's not done, but it's about as high as I can go in here without getting too close to the plastic, which at this point is moving around a lot with this wind we're getting. I think it's a very good bit of luck that we didn't take this down. We're just gonna wait until the morning and see what happens. Maybe I can get up here with the ladder and build it a little higher. It's very windy. I hear thunder. It seems to be intact. Maybe a little worse for the wear. It's like, see those right there, how they're just almost have like an S curve to them? That's all they all looked in the night. So I came out here, pulled them off and put new ones on. High stakes Jenga, I guess. One thing that people may not think about when it comes to cards is humidity. If it's too humid, the cards like lose their strength and they become soggy and wet, like a paper towel that's wet is just limp.
No, we're good. This is clear.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, look at that breeze. It's so crazy. So I've built hundreds and hundreds of card projects, and you know, this is a first. I've never attempted anything like this. Really not a huge build for me, maybe 8 or 10 hours of actual stacking. But you know, the payoff is just doing something really cool, something really different. You know, I've never had a house of cards where I could take a picture and have, you know, tree branches surrounding it. Look at that breeze. Holy cow. There's probably a lot of reasons why I don't build card houses outside. Woo! That was almost it right there. This tower is, I mean, we're guessing. I think it's maybe 13 or 14 feet tall. I would say give or take 5,000 cards, which, and as far as I know, this is the tallest card house that's ever been built outside. Okay, now it's a 10-foot tower. My outdoor card skyscraper is the coolest thing I've ever made. You build a house of cards, okay, great, but then now what? So, you know, you're not going to put it in a box and send it home. You're going to knock it down. And a lot of people will say, well, doesn't that make you sad? And it's like, no, I know that's going to happen. That's just part of the life cycle of a house of cards. It's the coolest thing I've ever made. And it's beautiful. You know, like, destruction can be a really beautiful thing. You know what's really beautiful? A house of cards in a ruinous state. Yeah, we is right. Get it. Yay! That's pretty good. You're a pretty good demolition artist.
My name's Guy. I'm the creator of the show. Thanks so much for watching, and a big thanks to Bryan Berg, the card stacker, who went above and beyond, like insanely above and beyond on this one. You can check out his other work at cardstacker.com. There's going to be a link in the description below. I'm going to get back to editing, so thank you very much for watching. And yeah, like, subscribe, do all those things.